It's me, John Barry from good old Big Red Comics, back again to tell you what's coming out this week. Before I get started, I'd like to thank everybody that came out Saturday for making our Doctor Who event such a huge hit. Special thanks to Todd Knock and all the cosplayers that came out. Everybody just had a great time. I know I had a blast. And then if that wasn't enough, not only was it a phenomenal day here in the store, but then Todd Knock and all the cosplayers ran on over to the park that's in the center of the Orange Circle here in Orange, California. And they all took pictures dressed in their cosplay gear all over the park. It was just amazing. It was so much fun. So thank you, Todd. And again, thank you, cosplayers, for a wonderful Doctor Who day. Anyway, I have other news to share with you before we get to the new stuff this week. This literally just fell into my hands today. What this is the Marvel catalog basically for this fall. Okay, so if you're a member or if you want to become a member here at Big Red Comics, what I need you to do going forward, if you're a member watching this especially, open up this front page and you'll see a checklist of all of the books that are mentioned inside of this catalog. Okay, so you take a look through the catalog, see what might look good for you. I need you to do this checklist for me, and any number ones, please go ahead and check them off and then drop it off to whoever's behind the counter, whether it's Debbie, myself, Scott, Robert, Michelle, or Kyle, whoever it may be behind the counter, just drop this on off. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on to this week's stuff. Let's go take a look, starting with new kid stuff as always. All right, we have this week The Adventures of Maru, brand new from Action Lab. Not quite sure what it's about, but I like the cover, looks intriguing. Followed by Adventure Time, Darkwing Duck, Finding Dory. Yes, Finding Dory gets a comic. Guardians of the Galaxy, Madagascar, Mickey Mouse Shorts, Miraculous number 2. Number 1, if you remember, came out last week. Pink Panther. The Powerpuff Girls get their own book again with Mojo Jojo as the bad guy. Scooby-Doo, where are you? Sonic Universe. Space Battle Lunchtime. SpongeBob Comics. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And finally, good old Walt Disney Comics and Stories. That's it for this week's all ages stuff. Let's come on over here and check out what's going on with the new trade paperbacks and hardcovers for this week. Starting with Justice League All Elseworlds gets gathered together finally with Volume 1. If you're an Elseworlds fan from DC, you may want to pick this up. Monstrous finally comes out in trade form. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this book. It's absolutely gorgeous. Supergirl Volume 1. The old stuff from the 80s finally gets a collection. Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka with art by my buddy Drew Johnson. So pick that up. Old Man Logan, Harley Quinn's Greatest Hits with the Suicide Squad movie coming out. Spider Women, Deviations from IDW, Totally Awesome Hulk, Lumberjanes Volume 4. Grumpy Cat gets a nice hardcover. And for all ages there is the DC Superhero Girls. Followed by Aquaman, that's Volume 2 of the Sub Diego story. If you've never read the Sub Diego story, that's really good stuff. Also, let me fix that. Marvel First, the 1990s Volume 2. Black Magic by Greg Rucka. And MPH by Mark Millar. By the way, in case you don't know what that's about, it's about these kids that take this drug and it gives them super speed. Actually, a really clever book. If you've never read Mark Millar's stuff, you might want to pick that up and check it out. All right, so let's get to the meat of why we're all here. What's out this week in comics? Starting with Action Comics, number 959. The Doomsday Story continues. Adventure Time, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's the Civil War II crossover. All New X-Men, Apocalypse Wars continues. Followed by All New X-Men, the variant cover. Army of Darkness, Furious Road. Aspen Universe Revelations. This is actually done by my friend Joshua Fialkov. He's the writer on this book. It looks very intriguing, something very different from Aspen, so we'll check it out. Back to the Future with the ROM cover. Batman, that's the second printing of Batman #1. Batman Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, the hardcover on that. Birthright, Bloodshot Reborn, followed by Bolts from Action Lab. DC Comics Bombshells. Civil War II. I got to stop a moment here. If you know anything about Marvel at all, if you're a Marvel zombie, if you're a Marvel fan at all, you will want to pick this up. What happens is really shocking and sets a tone that may be for years to come. That's all I'm going to say about it. Civil War II, the variant by Michael Cho. Civil War II, the Joe Quesada Midnight variant. Civil War II, the Phil Noto variant. Civil War II, the black and white variant. Finally, Amazing Spider-Man Civil War II. Amazing Spider-Man Civil War II. And Choosing Sides Civil War II. The variant on that. Gods of War Civil War II. And the variant of Gods of War Civil War II. That is a hell of a lot of Civil War II stuff, my friend. Moving on, Conan the Slayer. Daredevil with the Amazing Spider-Man, no less. Daredevil Death of X cover with Nightcrawler. Wow, I love that cover. The Dark Tower drawing of the 3 continues. Deadpool Civil War II tie-in. Deadpool the Scott Koblish cover. And Deadpool Death of X cover. Woo! And here we go. We're starting the second shelf now for this week. It is Darkwing Duck, because it's for adults as well as kids. Dedication by Double Take. This is kind of interesting because you get issues 1, 2, and 3 inside for $3. So that's a new publishing company, so check it out. $3 for 3 issues. That's a good deal. Descender continues by Jeff Lemire and Destin to Win. Batman Detective Comics continues with Rebirth. Doctor Who, Todd Knott cover no less. The 4th Doctor. Probably one of my favorite comics right now as far as the Doctor Who comics. Really well written. Reads just like an episode of that particular Doctor. Doctor Who, the 10th Doctor. Dungeons and Dragons. Earth 2 Society. Wrath of the Eternal Warrior. Flash Rebirth. Both covers. Goldie Vance continues. Great book. Gold Key Alliance. Green Arrow Rebirth. That's the second print. Green Lantern, second print. Grim Tales of Terror. Guardians of the Galaxy, regular. And Death of X, in this case, Kitty Pryde. Woof, does not look good for Kitty. Gwenpool variant, another Gwenpool variant. Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps Rebirth, along with the variant cover. Harrow County, Hip Hop Family Tree. Horizon, brand new from Image. I'm not quite sure what Horizon is all about, but I definitely want to check it out. It looks pretty interesting, so perhaps you should check it out too. Anyway, going on, House of Penance, Insects, Kong of Skull Island. Beautiful artwork, by the way, on the interior of Kong of Skull Island. You may want to pick that up. Legend of Wonder Woman, Lumberjanes, and Gotham Academy #2. Yes, it continues. Super fun story. If you are a fan of Lumberjanes or Gotham Academy, but haven't picked this up yet, please do. Miller World Annual. Okay, I got to stop right here. So if you're a fan of Mark Millar's Kick-Ass, Hit Girl, Chrononauts, Kingsman, American Jesus, or Starlight, this is the book for you to pick up this week. Trust me, it has all of these characters, and they're all individual stories in here. Really cool stuff. The always gorgeous book Mirror continues. Morning Glories hits number 50. New Avengers Civil War tie-in, and of course the Death of X variant cover. It's kind of an interesting look on that. Anyway, finally we get to the bottom here. Starting with New Superman. Yes, it's China's answer to Superman. And I won't tell you what else happens in the book, but let's just say 2 other superheroes show up as well for China. And the variant on that, Nightwing Rebirth, along with the variant. Ninjak from Valiant. Old Man Logan, along with the Death of X variant on that. Pink Panther, again, for young and old. That's why it's here. Power Man Iron Fist, Civil War II, one of my favorite books right now. Death of X on that. Powerpuff Girls, again, a book for young and old. And the variant on that. Prometheus from Dark Horse comes out. And once again, Double Take. Let me stop right here. Double Take, this time it's remote. And again, you get 3 issues for $3. So you might want to check out this publishing company. They're giving you a really good deal. Also, Rick and Morty, Little Poopy Superstar. Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Rough Riders. Sabrina continues. This is the story about Salem, her cat. That damned cat. If you don't know the sad history about Salem the cat, it's extremely interesting. You may want to pick this up. Good stuff. Moving on with the always gorgeous Satellite Falling. That's one of my favorite titles right now. The Shadow, The Death of Margot Lane continues. Sherlock, A Study in Pink. Yes, that is a Sherlock manga. Silk, The $6 Million Man returns with Fall of Man from Dynamite. Actually looks really intriguing. Star Trek with a ROM cover. Superman #1, that is a second print, along with Titans Rebirth second print. Violent continues. The Vision. Voltron. Voltron, legendary defender from Lion Force Comics. If you haven't seen the new DreamWorks series, it's on Netflix. It's really, really good. And comic looks intriguing too. It looks like it might be quite good. So hopefully come on in and check it out. Wacky Raceland continues, along with the Weavers from Boom. Web Warriors, Wicked and Divine. Wonder Woman the variant from Frank Cho. Joe Benitez, The Wraith Redux. Going on with the X-Files. And finally, to wrap it all up, Double Take Publishing again with Z-Men, All the President's Men. You get 3 comics all in one for $3. That's a heck of a deal. So come on in and check out these books from Double Take and all the other stuff that I talked about, because it's a lot of books this week, folks. So come on in, check everything out, because there's a lot going on this week, as there always seems to be anymore. Anyway, I'm John Barry. That's what's happening this week. And as always, remember, comics are awesome, and so are you. We'll catch you next week.